Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the News Project Live on GNAT-TV's Facebook page. I'm Andrew McKeever, the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today on Friday, January 28th. Well, town meeting season is starting, or beginning to swing into focus anyway. Another month or so to go before most of the information meetings and Australian ballot votes will be taken. Town meeting day is officially March 1st this year, Tuesday, March 1st. But town warnings are being finalized, and well, we thought we'd do a brief roundup of some of the town meetings that'll be coming up in some of the area towns that we'll be following. We will be doing a deeper dive into some of the nitty-gritty details and some of the warnings across our coverage area in the coming weeks, but just sort of as an overview of what we're going to be looking at across some of the towns. Let's see, we'll start with Manchester, where they'll be holding a virtual information meeting on Saturday, February 26th, beginning at 1 p.m. To discuss the warned articles, and then voters will decide them by Australian ballot voting on Tuesday, March 1st, at the town hall. Um, Many of you will remember it typically there'd be an information meeting held the Saturday before Tuesday town meeting. It used to be held at the multi-purpose room at the Manchester Elementary Middle School. So that'll be virtual this year, like as it was last year. Some of the highlights on the warning are things that stand out that are maybe a little bit different. Voters will be asked to approve $50,000 in reserve fund spending to help complete the second phase of the Manchester skate park. That's that skateboard park that was built, was it now 2 years ago? Uh, There'll also be an article about whether or not voters want to have allow cannabis retailers to open shop in town. There's also going to be a question about whether or not the town wants to spend $120,000 to purchase the rail trail from the present owners and make that into a publicly owned trail. That, of course, has been an ongoing subject of discussion in Manchester for quite a few years now. Been studies and lots of back and forth. Anyway, uh, for $120,000, it can become a town recreation trail. There's also going to be an advisory vote on the proposed field house. We've reported on that before, and by now it's probably fairly familiar to most of you. A $13 million building that would be built in the Dana Thompson Recreation Park. Would offer a lot of different opportunities for basketball, pickleball, working out, walking track, many different features. The town of Manchester would be putting in about $3 million into it, in addition to a private foundation also matching that with $3 million. But this will be, and it's important to emphasize, an advisory vote as to whether or not voters want the town to kind of continue on with discussions and negotiations around that to see if they want to go forward, and then the exact dollar amount would be nailed down later. So that'll be interesting to see. That's a vote that's going to be held across many towns across our area. And of course, the ultimate dollar total is going to be kind of dependent on how many towns want to opt into it or say, yes, we'll continue looking at it further. North Shire Day School is asking for $87,000, and the Manchester Community Library is asking for $243,740, which is the same amount as last year. Other items voters will get to discuss and then vote on will include funding for an expansion and improvements to the town's sewer district. Actually, I think there'd be a whole new sewer district created to service the area up on Main Street or Route 7A along that corridor there, leading from, I think, the library up to the Riley Rink. There will also be elections for town officials, of course, and one final note, town reports will not be mailed out this year to voters in Manchester. but rather they'll be available for pickup at the town hall or by request. Moving down to Arlington, the information meeting there will be held on Monday, February 28th at 6:30 at the Arlington Memorial High School gym. Australian balloting will follow on Tuesday, March 1st, also at the high school gym. Um, there's the usual list of items for like the local rescue squad and the fire department and the highway department. Um, Three articles, though, are somewhat different. They relate to climate change to create a climate mitigation fund for the purpose of reducing carbon dioxide emissions from town fossil use, or town fossil fuel use, excuse me. One would create a sinking fund named the Climate Mitigation Fund. Another article then would ask voters if they want to put $50,000 into that mitigation fund, and then a third would seek to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuels used by the town of Arlington through energy efficiency, carbon sequestration, and adoption of renewable energy. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that turns out. And again, other articles will be for the library, for the rescue squad, the fire department, and so forth, as well as election of town officials. Moving up to Dorset, the information meeting there will be held virtually starting at 7 p.m. on Monday the 28th. Usual kind of expenditures that voters there will recognize, but they will also be asked to approve $13,000 for the Northshire Day School. The school has broken those numbers out based proportionally on the number of students from each town they serve. So, the majority of their students come from Manchester, and therefore voters there will be asked for $87,000. The numbers just sort of break down to be $13,000 for voters in Dorset. And they will also be holding the advisory vote on the field house there. Moving up to Winhall, they are planning to have a traditional floor meeting on Tuesday, March 1st. It'll start at 10 o'clock. It'll be held at the Highway Garage on Old Town Road. And voters there will elect officials to the select board and school board and discuss a few ballot articles. There will also be Australian ballot voting held from 10 to 7 that day. The Fieldhouse proposal is also going to be discussed. It will be a floor vote up in Winhall. And on the school district side, voters will be asked to approve a school district budget of about $4.4 million. So that represents a slight decrease from last year. Not a large one, but it is a decrease. Going over to Londonderry, they have postponed their town meeting to Saturday, April 30th, under legislation passed by the state legislatures. They had the option of doing that. This, of course, driven by COVID concerns. Many towns last year, as you'll remember, opted to wait until later in the year when they could hold an outdoor meeting, and that would be, sort of COVID safe. And so this year, the select board in Londonderry has opted to do that. Again, that'll be held on Saturday, April 30th. And finally, Taconic Green Regional School District. If you didn't get a very useful postcard mailed to you, I can tell you that their information meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 22nd. It'll start at 7 p.m. It will be on Zoom, and you can tune in there or go to the brsu.org's website, and you learn more about it there. The balloting will be held, of course, on Tuesday, March 1st for the Taconic and Green Regional School District's budget proposal. Okay, moving on. A quick look at some of the COVID numbers. I mean, the general trend, I guess, is that the Omicron surge seems to be peaking. Uh, Numbers had been trending downward a little bit earlier this week, getting down to three digits instead of four that we were starting to get used to. However, on Thursday, yesterday, the state reported almost 1,500 new cases, 1,490 to be exact, with 108 folks in the hospital and 27 in intensive care units. Today, though, those numbers went down a little bit. The Department of Health is reporting 882 new cases, 106 folks in the hospital. It's a slight decrease in, and 25 of those folks in the ICU. They are also reporting that the number of Vermonters we've lost to COVID is now up to 532. That's three more since the numbers that came out on Thursday. In Bennington County, we're looking at 48 new cases. In other words, 48 of those 882 new cases are from Bennington County. It gives us about a total of 980 cases over the past 2 weeks, placing Bennington County in the dubious category of being in third place overall for the state in terms of total number of cases. Chittenden County is still number one, but that can be explained largely by the higher population level in Chittenden County. Rutland County is in second place, 51 new cases being reported today, and that gives them a total of 1,255 cases over the past 2 weeks. Over in Windham County, picture's a little bit better, 10 new cases being reported today, giving them 501 new cases over the past 2 weeks. 99% of Vermonters aged 12 or more are partially or fully vaccinated at this point, and 59% of Vermont children aged 5 to 11 have received at least one dose, so those are very encouraging numbers. And interesting story in VT Digger, kind of related to all of this. Just wanted to pass on, and kind of interesting and sobering as well. The state reported 360 excess deaths. At least those were determined by a study conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and a UVM study over the past 5 months of 2021. So 360 excess deaths, and 220 of those were attributed to COVID, leaving 140 were due to other causes, and those could come from mental health conditions or substance abuse, or perhaps delayed care because folks were unable to get to the hospital or get the care they needed in a medical emergency. So interesting story. It's on VT Digger's website, vtdigger.org. Kind of interesting to read. As we've all been hearing, there's been a lot of mental health issues associated with COVID in one way or another, and this kind of puts that into some sort of context for us all. I just wanted to mention also that on Monday evening at Burn Burton Academy, the Riley Center for the Arts at Burn Burton Academy, starting at 7 p.m., the North Shore Rescue Squad will be having a public hearing or meeting to kind of present its side of the story in the recent discussion, shall we say, they've been having with Manchester town officials. Many of you will recall that on, I believe it was January 11th, at a meeting of the Manchester Select Board, a consulting firm that had been hired by the town presented a PowerPoint presentation showing some concerns with the service the rescue squad was offering the town, particularly the town of Manchester, and that generated a back and forth, shall we say, and the rescue squad took issue with some of the findings that were presented there, and they are now going to have a meeting of their own, as I say, this coming Monday, January 31st, to kind of present their side of the story, I guess you could say. the consulting firm that had been hired by the town to kind of explore the rescue squad situation very much from the standpoint of Manchester. From that perspective, found some issues around the cost that the town was spending and some of the service that was being provided. So we'll now have a chance to hear directly from the rescue squad officials as to what their take is on that. The North Shore Rescue Squad, as many of you know, serves not only in Manchester, but the towns of Danby, Dorset, Mount Tabor, and a part of Winhall. And all towns pay into the service for rescue squad services to their folks. So there may well be a live stream or an opportunity to tune in to that, or I believe it's going to be open in person, but probably socially distanced. So whereas the seating capacity at the Riley Center is usually around 200 or so, it'll be somewhat less than that. But our understanding is that a live stream is being explored and studied. So I want to stay tuned to that very important story that has been kind of one of the main things we've been following over the past couple of weeks. And finally, a little bit of a weather alert. You may have heard that there's a big winter storm barreling its way up the East Coast, expected to dump snow from North Carolina up to Boston and along the New England coast. I guess the worst place to be for that is going to be eastern Long Island and coastal New England this weekend. It could be up to 2 feet of snow hitting Boston, we've been told. And there's going to be probably a lot less than that here. 4 to 8 inches is what I've been hearing, maybe a little bit more, but it'll also be kind of cold. No surprise there, right? We've had our share of cold weather so far this year. Down in the single digits tomorrow. So, dress warm, stay safe. Thank you for being with us today. Always a pleasure, and we'll see you again next week for the GNAT-TV News Project. I'm Andrew McKeever. Have a good weekend.